Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome again to the PACAC Keystone Virtual College Exploration. I'm very excited today to introduce Morgan from Colorado College to you. She will share some information and some pictures about the school. I will remind all of you who are attending to please use the question and answer feature. If you do have questions, the chat room will not be activated. And at the end of this, there will be a survey that's just 4 questions, but we really would appreciate it if you would fill that out. Your cameras and your microphones will be off, but I know you'll enjoy the presentation. So if you do have those questions, put them in the chat. So Morgan, I'm going to turn things over to you, and thank you again very, very much.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone. We're so glad that you're here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so that you can see. I do have a little bit of presentation here for you, but appreciate your time in jumping onto what may be yet another Zoom call and meeting. And so appreciate you utilizing some of your screen time today to learn a little bit about Colorado College. And so to kind of get us started, this is a roadmap of where I want to head today. Want to talk a little bit about our location and how that informs our academics and the academic opportunities, experiential learning opportunities that provides. And that will bleed in a little bit to our academic structure, the block plan, which you may or may not have heard of already, but something that makes Colorado College extremely distinct in the landscape of higher education. And then we'll wrap up or kind of tie things up with the really fun stuff, the admission and financial aid process. So to get us started, as our name suggests, Colorado College, we are in fact in Colorado, and we are unique in the landscape of higher education in terms of looking at other highly selective top tier liberal arts institutions, because you'll see on this map, a lot of the schools that are similar to CC in many, but not all ways, are going to be located kind of on the 2 coasts and in the Midwest. We are actually the only highly selective liberal arts institution in the Rocky Mountain time zone. And so we occupy a really unique space within the landscape of higher education just by geographic location. And our location really informs a lot of what we do. We're about an hour and a half south of Denver, the capital city, in Colorado Springs. And Colorado Springs is a city of just over 700,000 people, which is actually founded on the unceded territory of the Ute people. And so we do always like to pause for just a moment in recognizing that our land that we are located on does have a really complex history. And so we really want to honor that history and everything that we do on our campus, from the way that we structure our education and opportunities for students and making education accessible for students, but also in how we utilize the physical land that we are on. And so something that Colorado College has taken on, for example, is we actually achieved carbon neutrality in January of this year. So really making sure that we're using the land on which we are located in a sustainable way so that students, families, and people can utilize that land for many, many generations in the future. But Colorado Springs as a city, like I said, is just over 700,000 people and is actually the largest city in the country that's immediately adjacent to national forest land. We are surrounded by national forest land on 3 sides. And so as a student, you really have the best of both worlds. We're a 10-minute walk from the downtown Colorado Springs area, but you have easy access to over 300 miles of hiking and biking trails. We're right at the base of that mountain you're seeing in the bottom left-hand side of your screen, Pikes Peak, which was inspiration for Catherine Lee Bates as she was writing America the Beautiful. So you have that backdrop to your campus as you're walking across each and every day. And really have all of the amenities of city life with opportunity to get off campus and explore the greater Southwestern United States as well. On campus, we're going to be a tight-knit campus community, so 2,200 students, and our campus is about 90 acres in total size. We are unique as well. I know a lot of folks know Denver is kind of nicknamed the Mile High City, but in fact, Colorado Springs is actually higher. We're just over 6,000 feet, and so you're learning at elevation with that beautiful backdrop as well. But Colorado College will also utilize the state of Colorado in its experiential learning opportunities. So we do have 2 additional locations owned by the college within the state of Colorado that we'll utilize for club and organization meetings, but also for courses and field study. And we'll dive into what field study looks like at CC here in just a little bit. But our first location is the CC cabin, which is in Divide, Colorado. That's about 45 minutes from Colorado Springs and right in the Rocky Mountain range. And so the CC cabin will sleep 25 to 30 people. It does have a small ropes course with it as well. So it's a great opportunity for students to go and develop leadership skills, team building activities, and really have that opportunity within the Rocky Mountain range. The second location is actually down in Crestone, Colorado, called the PACAC campus. Crestone is a very small town located right next to the Sand Dunes National Park, so some of the largest sand dunes in the country. And so you might see an astronomy class, for example, go down to PACA because there's virtually no light pollution. So being able to go and see hundreds of thousands of stars without any kind of aided equipment, or in a campus away from main campus, being able to unplug, right? Turning the Wi-Fi off, putting those phones away, and really just taking inspiration from your natural surroundings. Maybe that's for a creative writing class. So really utilizing those 2 locations within Colorado to our advantage as well. But students will not only have opportunity to grow and learn from their surroundings, but also from their peers. At Colorado College, we'll see in a second that our average class size is 16 students, and our classes are very heavily based in discussion and debate. We want students to be able to engage with one another and learn from one another in addition to learning from their professor. And so as we think about our students that we are working with through the admission process, we really value diversity of thought because it's much more interesting being in those classrooms and having discussions and debates if not everyone is coming to the table with the same perspective or same thoughts and ideas, right? Especially in a debate. If everyone has the same opinions, it's really not much of a debate. And so thinking about students, not only where they are coming from geographically, but also having students from a variety of racial and ethnic backgrounds, political backgrounds, religious backgrounds. And so really intentionally thinking about having a variety and diversity of thought on our campus so that students get to shape and mold their own thoughts and ideas and have a variety of lenses through which they can see their academic subject matter, but also shape and mold themselves as they move into being global citizens and part of the larger landscape of the world that we live in. And so part of that is through those interactions with your peers. So I mentioned that those classes on average are going to be 16, but we actually cap our classes at 25. So like I said, we really want students to be able to engage meaningfully with one another, but also that they get to know those professors. And your professors want to engage with you and partner with you in that learning process. One of my favorite things about CC is that you'll hear a lot of professors on that first day of class say, you know, this is a partnership. I want to learn and grow from you. I want you to push and challenge me just as much as I'm going to help you grow and develop. I'm going to push and challenge you. We don't live in a stagnant world. And so we all have changing thoughts, opinions, research and studies change, findings change. And so I want you to share those thoughts and perspectives in the classroom so that we can all grow and develop through this process. But your professors do have a lot to share. They're coming to the table with terminal degrees in their field. All of our classes are taught by professors. And so you're going to get the information from the foremost authority and have the opportunity to engage meaningfully with them in that process. So with the opportunity to engage with your faculty members, you do have the opportunity to really have a well-rounded education at CC. We are a liberal arts institution, and so we do have a curriculum that encourages students to take classes across academic disciplines. Now, that being said, we don't have 5 set classes that every single student will take. We only have one course sequence. It's actually the first 2 classes that you take when you arrive, called our CC 100 and 120, or first year program. This is really meant to lay the foundation for students and set them up for academic success as they move into additional coursework through their time at CC. So this is really going to be focused on your writing, making sure that you're ready for any writing assignment that you have while on our campus, because we do tend to be a very writing intensive campus. It's also meant to help you as you're navigating the transition, not only to a college campus, but to the block plan that we're going to talk a little bit about, because it is a different academic structure. The thought process behind having our curriculum structured in this way. So those are the 2 classes that every single student will take. The rest, as you can see, are broad guidelines or categories that you'll have lists of classes that you get to choose from. This gives you a lot of choice and autonomy in your course selection, but also provides you a really well-rounded perspective in education by the time that you graduate. And the thought process behind this is, right, there's some really interesting research going on right now that's looking at students who are maybe in your shoes, going through their college search process, maybe even in their first or second year of college. And they're saying that many of you might be part of development of new areas of potential academic study, but also new career fields and industries. And so as you're thinking about going through your college search process, applications, selecting a major or minor, those are areas that you might have a hand in developing in the future. And so colleges like CC that take that really broad educational stroke and saying, we want you to leave our campus being a lifelong learner, knowing how to do research and find creative solutions to problems, thinking both analytically, critically, and creatively, being able to communicate effectively through your writing, through your speaking and presentation. These are all skill sets that are translatable no matter what field or industry you go into. And so we want students to have those lenses through which they can see problems, topics, but also just frankly the world. And so really making sure that students have that by the time they leave our campus. That being said, students will still choose an academic major or majors and minor or minors. And we have over 80 different programs of study. On the slide, you're seeing some of our most popular or unique majors on campus, but we do have the full list of all of our majors, minors, as well as thematic minors on our website. So I would definitely encourage each and every one of you to jump on there, take a look at what's offered, maybe explore some areas that you hadn't considered before as you're thinking about the opportunities that might be available to you at CC. All of our students will end up declaring their major by the end of their sophomore year. So you don't have to know what you want to study. We don't have any program-based admission. And so you just apply to Colorado College. And so this really opens the door for you to explore areas that could be potential majors or minors. All of our students, regardless of if they have an idea of what they want to study or not, will meet with an academic advisor before they register for classes, so they can help students in navigating their curriculum choices, in selecting majors or minors, but also in thinking about long-term goals. So that might be thinking about opportunities that you want to take advantage of at CC, whether that's study abroad or research, internships, but also what does life after CC look like? Maybe that's a graduate program or going straight into a career field, doing the Peace Corps or Teach for America. And so really making sure that you're taking advantage of all of the curriculum that makes sense for those opportunities, but also the experiential learning and experiences that will make you the most competitive applicant for whatever that next step may be in your process. So we've talked broadly about the curriculum at CC, but what does that look like within the context of our academic model? So Colorado College is extremely unique in terms of our academic structure, which we call the block plan. This fall actually marks our 50th year on the block plan. And what I can tell you is that 50 years ago, our faculty saw students divided, right? Their students, they were taking 4 or 5 classes at a time over the course of a semester, so a traditional college schedule. And, they might be in an English class, but kind of thinking about that calculus class that they had coming up next, or couldn't fully dive into that English reading because they had those problems that they needed to complete before class the next day. And so our faculty said, we have an immense respect for each other's disciplines, but how do we get students to just get lost in their learning, to really dive deeply and intentionally into something? And so what they ended up doing was developing the block plan. And the whole concept is that we wanted students to dive intentionally and intensely into one subject at a time. And so that's what we have been doing for the last 50 years. Students will take one class at a time for 3.5 weeks. So for 3.5 weeks, they're not just taking that English class, but for 3.5 weeks, they get to be focused on English literature and writing. They get to dive headfirst into their studies. So they can do that extra chapter of reading. They can dive into something from their class discussion and do some additional research to share with class the next day, because that is their one and only focus. So for that 3.5 weeks, students will meet in class Monday through Friday from about 9 a.m. to noon. Any class with a lab component, the lab would meet in the afternoon. And on that final week, so that half week, your class would conclude by noon on Wednesday. So by noon, any final paper, project, exam, performance, whatever that final kind of encompassing component for that class is, would be completed or turned in. So every 3.5 weeks, a student will have a final instead of one massive finals week at the end of a semester, for example. So this is very different, a different structure. It's not right, wrong, better, or worse. It is just different. We're one of only a handful of schools in the entire world that learn and function this way. But I do think it provides students a number of opportunities and advantages in their college experience. And we'll touch on some of those here in just a second. We do have some similarities to a traditional semester system. So just like most colleges and universities, students will take 4 classes over the course of the fall semester. The difference just being those are taken one at a time. So blocks 1 through 4 on your screen are our fall semester, and then blocks 5 through 8 are the spring semester. Our academic calendar will also look very similar. So our academic year starts at the end of August with block 1. We'll run through mid-December for block 4. Students have about a 5-week winter break before block 5 starts at the end of January, and block 8 will conclude in mid-May. We do also offer an optional half block in early January, so opportunity for students to come back about 2 weeks early and earn a half credit worth of course credit during that time. And then 2 blocks are offered over the summer as well. So similarities in that sense. But let's talk about some of the differences and advantages of the block plan. So I mentioned that classes are 3.5 weeks and conclude by noon on Wednesday. At noon on Wednesday, class lets out and students have a 4.5-day block break. This is time for you as a student to refuel, recharge, and reset in whatever way you see fit. The college will put on programming both on and off campus, ways for you to explore and step away from your academic classes, but to enjoy time off. So that might be an outdoor recreation trip. Our outdoor recreation program will lead over 200 trips a year: hiking, biking, camping, whitewater rafting or ice climbing, volunteer and service trips. But it could also be on campus, taking an aerial silks course or a glass blowing class. These are opportunities that the college will arrange and provide to students. But again, this is your time. So if you need to catch up on laundry, hopefully you did some laundry during that 3.5 week block, because that is quite a long time. But if you need to catch up on laundry and want to binge watch a Netflix series, or if you want to set up a hammock on our main campus quad and enjoy some of the 300 days of sunshine that we see in Colorado Springs, that is your time. Whatever you need to reset and be ready for that block starting on Monday morning is what you can do and should do during those block breaks. You've worked really hard, so take a break and enjoy yourself. The other area of flexibility and opportunity for students that I hinted at earlier is through field study. So because you're taking one class at a time, your class can literally meet anywhere. You're not tied to room 102 in X, Y, or Z building. Sure, your class can meet in room 102, but it could also take advantage of the CC cabin, the PACAC campus, to get off campus and learn from your environment. But maybe it's a little bit farther. Maybe it's going to the East Coast and spending time at NPR headquarters, or spending time in Utah collecting and analyzing water samples in a hydrology class. So really giving you the opportunity to not just learn from your textbooks or your professors, which are immense resources already, but to actually learn by doing. And in some cases, that means getting your hands a little bit dirty, but really having that meaningful experiential learning opportunity. This might even go further with having an opportunity to do a block abroad. So we do, like most colleges and universities, offer semester and year-long abroad programs. And we do this with over 100 different partner institutions to allow students to go pretty much anywhere that's travel safe per the United States. Our study abroad officers will walk students through every stage of that process, including pre-approving any coursework. So you know exactly how that fits into your CC curriculum and timeframe. But you also at CC have the option of doing a block abroad. So this is a 3.5-week experience with other CC students and a CC faculty member. So it might be one of our most popular classes called the Odyssey, which sails through the Greek Isles while reading the Odyssey. So it gives students a little bit of ancient Greece as well as modern Greece. Opportunities to take a world religion course in India or a Chinese language course in Beijing. Really giving you that additional opportunity and flexibility if you're thinking about having an immersive abroad experience. We offer a block abroad pretty much every block every year. And so there are definitely lots of opportunities for students who are interested in having that abroad experience. Almost 80% of our students will study abroad, whether that's a block, a semester, or a year by the time they graduate from CC. But students will not only take advantage of study abroad and experiential learning through their coursework, but also through meaningful research. So we do have a summer research consortium. Every year, about 200 students will stay on campus and engage in meaningful research projects with their professors. The nice thing about being at CC is that we have one master's program, a Master's of Arts in Teaching. And so that means every research opportunity goes straight to our undergraduate students. So you are hands-on in those research projects. You're collecting, reporting, and analyzing any and all data. So you are very hands-on in that process. Many of our students will present their findings at conferences across the country or will be co-authored alongside their professors. So some great opportunity to dive in headfirst to research. Another option for students that are interested in research projects are called our Keller Venture Grant. So this is funding that the college has set aside for students to apply for up to $1,000 to explore a research area or topic of their choosing. So we've had students go to Belize and work with spider monkeys at a nature conservatory, to students who went to New Zealand and looked at wool production, or the upper reaches of Canada to study the aurora borealis. So this is funding for you to say, I want to dive into something deeper. You don't have to have a faculty member with that particular area of expertise or interest. You just have to have that passion and drive to explore and then share that with the campus community upon your return. Similarly, we offer our Big Idea competition each year for students that are interested in starting their own business or launching a new product off the ground. So think a Shark Tank style competition for seed funding to get those opportunities off the ground. We actually had a student win the Big Idea competition a few years ago with her product called Momentix, which was an engineering inspired toy for young girls. So really getting young women inspired and excited about STEM. So we're really excited to see those products on shelves very soon. We do also offer opportunity for students through our Rick Kellogg Expedition Grant who want to engage in a meaningful and reflective experience through wilderness exploration. So a couple of different opportunities for students as they're engaging with the larger community. Students will also engage with the larger community, whether that's through Colorado Springs or both domestically and abroad across the country and around the world through our Career Center. Our Career Center has an immense number of resources that I'm just going to barely touch on today. So I would encourage you to jump on their website and take a look at just everything that they have to offer because like I said, there are so many opportunities and students can really start engaging with the Career Center and career advisors from the moment that they arrive on campus. They do actually have a 4-year kind of map or plan for students of what you should be thinking of or about that first semester of your freshman year versus second semester of your junior year. And so really helping you navigate and think about where you should be in that process as you're thinking about professional development and life after graduating from a place like CC. They will do everything from resume writing workshops, cover letter writing opportunities, to mock interviews. But my favorite program that they run each year is called Tiger Trek. Actually, the picture on the background of this slide is from a Tiger Trek experience. So they take a small cohort of students twice a year to a major city. Sometimes that's in the US, sometimes that's abroad. And while they're there, they not only get to explore the city, but major industries while they're there. So in this picture, they're at the Target Corporation headquarters. And so they get to explore that industry for a potential career field, but also get to tap into the alumni network in that area. So really starting that networking process so that you have individuals that you can reach out to or connect with as you're thinking about potential career opportunities, but also just to say, I want to grab a cup of coffee with someone while I'm home for winter break or summer break, and just kind of pick their brain on what life post CC has looked like for them and how they would have changed or added to their CC experience if they were to go back knowing what they know now. So really providing students with that opportunity during their time at CC. But students have an immense number of resources on campus just to make sure that they're successful on the block plan and in each and every single one of their classes. So I've already talked a little bit about the advising program, but the advising hub is really focused on the student as a whole. So really making sure that not only are they thinking about their academic health and success, but also thinking about their mental and physical well-being and finding fulfillment in what they're doing outside of the class. So making sure that they're finding ways to connect with the CC and Colorado Springs community and that they're able to and know the resources that they have on campus should they need help in their coursework. So 2 of those resources that are immensely helpful for students are the Quantitative Reasoning Center. So opportunity for students to go in when they're stuck on those tricky math or science problems and get tutoring help and walk them through those processes, but also the Writing Center. So giving students that space and platform to have another set of eyes look over their paper before they're submitting it for a grade, to ensure that they're citing all of their sources appropriately so that they can be successful in their writing and their development. And so all of these resources and opportunities, I think, really set students up well for success in life after CC as well. One of the things and benefits of being at a small institution is that we do get to partner individually with students, get to tailor that experience to what your goals and aspirations are. So thinking about, each and every time you're meeting with your advisor, talking through what those long-term goals and aspirations are, whether that's a graduate program or a career field, and helping you navigate your individual process. So these are just a few examples of where our students have either gone to graduate school or have gone into a position or career in recent years after graduating from CC. I also want to mention that one of the additional benefits of being part of that tight-knit community on our campus is that many of those resources through the Career Center are available to you even after graduating from our campus. So I know I've thrown quite a bit of information at you already. Want to dive in a little bit to our admission and financial aid process before turning things over to you all in the Q&A section. Feel free to drop any questions that you might have about campus in there already, and I'll get to those here in just a few minutes. But I do want to first and foremost acknowledge that this academic year and certainly the second half of last academic year looked very different than most or all of you probably are used to, right? You undoubtedly probably transitioned to an online environment. This fall, you might be continuing that online environment, transitioning to a hybrid model, or transitioning back to full on-campus learning. Each of those situations has its own unique stressors that you have to face. And so college admission representatives understand that and are viewing your application through those lenses. We are working with your high schools and guidance counselors to understand what your school's process was. Did that change how grades were reported or course offerings, course formats? And so really helping to understand that process as we're reviewing your application. We also know that your life outside of class probably looks very different. And so I just want you all to know that you will not be penalized for a global pandemic, right? This is not in your control. It's not in any of our control. And so we will be reviewing all of your applications with that context and that lens in mind. And so that is not unique to this year for us at CC. We do a holistic review process every year. So that means there are no automatic admission standards. There's no magic GPA or test score or anything that automatically grants you admission to CC. At the same time, there's no test score or GPA that disqualifies you from consideration in our process either. We review every application cover to cover. We read everything that you send us. We want to get to know you as an applicant and as a student as much as we can in our process. And so with that, we're going to review everything that you're seeing on your screen. And I want to walk through some of these pieces and kind of talk about how they play into our process a little bit. So first and foremost, we are looking for students that can be successful on our campus, right? The block plan is intense. You're learning about a semester's worth of content in 18 days. That means it's also fast-paced. And so we want to set students up for academic success. And because of that, we're going to spend a lot of time on your academic record, specifically your high school transcript. So we want to see your core subjects, your math, science, English, social studies, and foreign language classes. And we want to see that you've pushed yourself and challenged yourself in those classes. So if your school offers AP, advanced, IB, dual credit, honors, whatever that looks like within your high school, we want to see that you've, again, challenged yourself in the curriculum that you've chosen to take and that you've done well in those classes, right? We want to see that 4-year picture of what how you've grown and developed through your curricular choices. We are a test optional institution, and so we wanted students to have that platform, if you're really proud of your test scores, to share those with us and have those as part of your admission process. But we also realize that some students don't feel that their test scores are an accurate reflection of their academic abilities. And so if you opt to decide not to send us your test scores, we don't make any assumptions about what those scores might or might not be. And we don't review your application any differently in our process. We're going to really focus on those your transcript in terms of your academics, since that will be the information that we have available to us. With that, the rest of the application will be reviewed, and the applications that we accept are the common application, the QuestBridge application, and the coalition application. So all 3 of these applications allow you to apply to multiple schools at once, and we do not have a preference which application you utilize. So you should utilize the application that makes the most sense for you and your unique individual college search process. Within the application, you'll have the opportunity to share with us all of the things that you've been involved in outside of class. So any clubs, organizations, volunteer and service, family obligations, but also any awards or leadership positions. We want to see what kind of community member you might be on our campus. And so that will look different for each and every one of you. And so just making sure that you're taking the time to share everything that you've been involved in outside of your class schedule. The application will also house your personal statement or essay. So the opportunity for us to hear from you in your words, something that's meaningful to you, that you're passionate about, really giving us a chance to hear your voice. At CC, we do have one question that we'll ask on our member page, which is why Colorado College? So we do want to see why Colorado College has sparked your interest and how you think you could contribute to our community. So do spend some time here. You've got a little bit of a leg up listening to today's session, and hopefully something that we've mentioned today has really resonated with you. Then we'll look for the school report that your counselor will submit. They do have the option of submitting a letter of recommendation on your behalf as well, and then 2 letters of recommendation, preferably from those core subject teachers and preferably from your junior or senior year. So really want to see somebody who's had you in class speak to your contributions in the classroom. Those are the required components of the application. You'll notice that I left off the interview bubble there. I did so intentionally, right? Because this is an optional component in our process. We don't require that students do an interview, but this is a great way for us, if you look at the components on your screen, to again hear directly from you. Otherwise, your writing is the only opportunity that we're hearing directly from you in your words. And so this is an opportunity for us to get to know you a little bit deeper, see that personality come through, hear about your interests and passions. Our interviews tend to be more informal, so we don't ask students about GPA or test scores or anything like that, but really want to hear about your experiences to date in areas that you see for potential growth and opportunity in your future. It's also an opportunity for you to get to know a CC community member. So interview us a little bit too, and figure out if you think that CC might be the right fit for you. So with our admission process, we do have 2 different application deadlines. The first is November 1st, which houses both our early action as well as early decision applications. Early decision is a binding application. Anywhere you're applying, you can only apply early decision to one college or university across the country. By applying early decision, you're entering into a contractual agreement with that institution. So you're saying, if admitted, I will enroll. So a couple of things you want to consider if you're planning on applying early decision, right, to any college or university. First and foremost, it should be your top choice. You are committing to joining that community if admitted. The second is that you'll want to have explored the financial component of attending that institution. Every school that receives federal financial aid is required to have a net price calculator on their website. So this is a great way to plug in your unique family's financial information and receive an estimated financial aid award to get a sense for what that might look like if offered admission at that school. Early action, on the other hand, is a non-binding application. You can apply early action to as many colleges and universities as you'd like. By applying early action, you're indicating, to that school that you want to hear back early, but that you're not ready to commit any earlier. So both our early decision and early action deadline will be November 1st. And then we have our second deadline of January 15th with a second round of early decision, so a second binding option, as well as our regular action, which is another non-binding opportunity. You can see we are a highly selective institution, so admission is very competitive on our campus. And I always like to tell students, this is the slide with a lot of numbers on it. These are the numbers that you can put on a slide, but that they don't encapsulate the entirety of the student, right? We just walked through the components that we're looking for in an application and how we look at those applications. And this, again, does not encapsulate that entire process. As you're going through the application process at Colorado College, you should also be thinking about applying for both merit aid as well as need-based aid. At CC, we do focus the majority of our financial resources because on need-based aid, because we do meet 100% of demonstrated need. And so we do have two required applications for that process. The first is the FAFSA, so the free application for federal student aid, as well as the CSS profile, which is through College Board, the same group that puts together the SAT. Both forms will also provide us with information about any additional documentation that is needed. You should be submitting your need-based financial aid applications at the same time that you're applying for admission. So those deadlines would be either November 1st or January 15th, depending on which admission decision plan you choose. With that being said, we do have a couple of merit scholarship opportunities. Usually about 8 to 10% of our incoming student body will receive some type of merit. Those leadership, trustee, and presidential scholarship opportunities are automatic consideration. You don't have to submit any additional documentation or check a box indicating that you're interested in those. Your application for admission is your application for those merit scholarships. Our Barnes Scholarship, on the other hand, does require a separate application. That deadline is also November 1st. It is for students interested in the natural sciences and mathematics. So if you're interested in those areas, it is an essay about your interest in the sciences, as well as a letter of recommendation from a science teacher. So just making sure that you're jotting those down or keeping those in mind. When I talk about the need-based financial aid, I did want to share a little bit about kind of average net price and award packaging as well. This is kind of last step for this presentation today, but we really strive to make CC an affordable option for our students. And so we want to have competitive award packaging and opportunities to make CC an affordable option as you're going through your process. So you can see that almost 90% of your award package would be grant aid or money that you don't have to repay the institution. We do view your education as a partnership between the institution and the student, so offering opportunity both for loans, which again you can accept or decline, as well as opportunity for you to work on campus through that work study program. So we really strive to make CC an affordable option for all students, regardless of socioeconomic background. All right, so I've thrown a lot of information at you today, gone pretty quickly. I do want to just talk about some next steps and opportunities. So we do have a build your own block plan tool on our website. And so this is a great way. I gave some examples on that slide with the block plan of classes that we offer, but this lets you build out your year on the block plan. And so you can see what kind of opportunities for classes, but also drop in some of those block break opportunities. We do also offer a number of other virtual sessions through our website, so we would love to continue to connect and engage with you through your college search and application process. Please make sure you're jotting down our deadlines. Not every school has the same deadlines, and so making sure that you have application, financial aid, and merit scholarship dates jotted down so that you're not missing any of those. And then for those of you who are seniors or prospective transfer students, just making sure that you're completing our preliminary application. It should take less than 5 minutes and just lets us know to keep an eye out for those applications to come through. But I just want to say thank you again for joining me. I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about Colorado College. I am the representative that works with Pennsylvania, and so you can always email that admission@coloradocollege.edu with any questions, but also are more than welcome to reach out to me directly. My name is Morgan Hybert, and you can find my contact information on our website as well. But thank you so much for joining me today. Happy to turn things over if we do have any questions. But again, feel free to reach out to us with questions as they come up, whether that's 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now. We're happy to help in any way that we can through your search process.
All right. Thank you very much, Morgan. I appreciate that. Well, I don't think there are any questions in the Q&A, but I did want to thank everybody for joining us. And the recording of this will be available through www.pacac.org/virtual. And there will be also lots of recordings with from all the other sessions as well. So thank you very much, Morgan. And students, have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully it'll warm up a little bit. We can enjoy the last little bits of fall. Thank you again, Morgan. It was great to see you. And attendees, there is a 4-question survey as soon as I close out. Take care, everybody. Thank you.